Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Math 10-3, Chapter 1.8. Workbook page that you can find this lesson is 28. And like what I put over here, we are going to talk about net income. So Chapter 1.7 talks about different types of income. Some of the income involves salary, which can be distributed as hourly basis, bi-weekly, that means every 2 weeks, or monthly. Or rare cases, it can be yearly salary too. However, that's not common. Salary can also have some additional amount of money. Commission, if you're the seller of the house, like real estate agent, or you can sell vehicles, or you can get tips if it's involved any type of services like waitress, hairdresser, those kind of situation. Sometimes we earn money in piecework. If you're an artist, if you're a TV cable installer, something like that, or it can be contractor, like short-term, long-term contractor. It can be involved some kind of engineering situation and technician, electric technician, pipeline technician, something like that. Or it can be other type like occupational therapist, client-to-client contract. So it really differs. Now, what we're going to go through is, I like to emphasize this term net. Before we getting into, we need to understand the difference between gross income versus net income. You may have heard those two words before. When we talk about gross income, first of all, long story short, amount of gross income is always larger because this is what you earn before any deduction. Something like that. So it is purely how much you have. But that does not necessarily mean that that's how much you bring home. Different amount can be deposited directly to your account. And the reason for that is there are a lot. You can the big thing is dental plan or extended healthcare, or it can be some kind of union money if you have an association, or it can be any type of pension. So there are quite a lot of amount. If I describe net income, I like to talk in simply the money left after deduction. So that means, ladies and gentlemen, it means you carry this much of amount directly to your bank account. So this is some people call carry home money. That's how much you can use for your own leisure. You can deposit, you can invest it. It really depends. But it is important to understand those. So, for example, on page 28, there is a classic example. One thing that is given is Mark works for a landscaping company. Last week, his gross income, it turned out $287. But deduction money was 45.36. Then the question is asking net income. Then basically what you need to do is subtract that how much that I need to pay out of my gross income, which is 45 and 36. So if I calculate it, 287.00 minus 45.36, you will get 241.64. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the net income of Mark. And sometime, well, this specific question is very simple because it is straightforward, but you need to understand that there are several different types of deduction in Canada. In fact, it's different in province too. But we are going to look at something that we already know, like number one. We have income tax. Income tax is quite different. It is a portion of employees' earning that federal and provincial government use to provide services like healthcare for universal healthcare, those kind of situation. But one thing that you need to know is it's certain portion of your gross income that it takes, and it's both federal and provincial. Some country doesn't have provincial tax, but a lot of country have both provincial and federal, like US and Canada. Those are good example, even in the law system. Income tax can be differ, depends on not only your income of how much, but also do you have any extra money like commission, those kind of situation, or if you're a contractor, your income tax can get a little bit higher. Second, employment insurance. Employment insurance is basically a certain fund that provides a source of income to people who lose their job. So right now, COVID-19 is a good example and bad example at the same time. There are quite a lot of adults who's getting that income source because they lose their job. It is basically income after you lose your job. It is a federal level. And this is not permanent amount. You need to understand that it's a limited amount that you need to apply, and you have to look for the new job. Number three, Canadian or Canada pension plan, known as CPP. When it comes to Canada pension plan, this is a plan that is made by a government to fund a monthly pension to workers when they retire. So it is a federal level and provincial level, but what I'm talking about mostly in here is federal level. And of course, we have way more plans, depends on the provinces. Like RSP in Alberta is a good example, although RSP is kind of universal. It was just something that popped up in my head. You can invest a little bit more. Or for example, you can use some of those pension as an advantage. Like if you're a new home buyer, you can use some of the RSP, take it out, buy as a lump payment for your house, and then you can put it back within 10 years or some. Actually, it's within 20 years, if I believe. And you, of course, need to double check because every year there is an update. It's not carved on stone. It can change, depends on economy. Let's do another example. It is located on page 28 again. It's a Shannon example. Shannon is a manager of sporting goods store earning $770 weekly. Calculate her standard deduction. So there are several type of deduction that is given. Income tax. It says 15%. EI, employment insurance, was 1.73%, and CPP, Canadian Pension Plan, was 4.95% of your overall gross income. Not the net income, how much you totally earn. So we're trying to find out how much is our net in that perspective. Well, Shannon's net income. So let's talk about each of those percentage. So first thing first, income tax. Convert every percentage into decimal. So divided by 100. And multiply by how much you earn as total. Do the same thing for employment assurance. Do the same thing for Canadian Pension Plan. And your calculator will do the rest of the work. Will give me 115.50. 13.32. 38.12. These are entire deductible amount. So if I add every single thing, you will have 166.94 is basically what you need to pay as a little bit of deductible. So if we are talking about our or Shannon's in this case net, you need to subtract from your gross income to your deductible. So you will have $603.06 is Shannon's net income. So as you may notice, there are several different types of deduction. We are talking about some kind of tax and our federal level of benefit that, or it's a mandatory tax, if you will, if you're working in Canada. Now let's talk about other type. Honestly, there are really a lot of type. If you want to go a lot of options, please go to page 29. And honestly, you need to do some research of what kind of other deduction. There's, again, like what I mentioned, there's insurance. And it can be some kind of goods insurance, or it can be some kind of health/life insurance, disability, those kind of insurance, some kind of union money. And that's your worker union, because worker union bargain your salary, if you will. Bargain salaries and represent workers, so employers. So it can be, for example, teachers have in Alberta Teacher Association, ATA, something like that. You may do donation to your church, something like that, regularly, or it may involve some savings and investments, blah blah blah, or extra pension. So there are numerous type of deduction. It is case by case. So it is a really good idea when you start working as a full-time worker. Don't spend a lot of money. You need to probably invest some amount extra too to have a better money as an income, like GIC, those kind of situation. Or it is, in either case, it is a good idea to talk and consult with your accountant if you will. Let's do our last example for today. Example number 2. It's Todd example. Todd earns a weekly salary of $635 as a computer technician. The deductions from his gross income are shown at the right. What is his net income for a week? So we have gross income amount given for $635 as a computer technician. This is per week at one point. The question is asking about net income for a week, so you may understand that. There is some deduction amount, however. Employee insurance was $8.70. That is given by the question. You also have Canadian pension plan, which is about 31.43. Income tax, it seems like it already did some percentage calculation. $95.25. And company pension, now these are mandatory, and then after that is a little bit optional. Company pension, $19.55. And disability insurance, which is $15.75. If you want to find out the net income, it is important to add every single deductible amount. So 8.70 plus 31.43 plus 95.25 plus 19.55 plus 15.75 provide me $170.68. So now we can subtract 635 to 17.68 cents. So if you do that, you will have $464.32, and that is how much net income is for Todd and his computer technician job. That is today's lesson. Your to-do list is quite straightforward. Do every question on page 29 to 30.